everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to SAVE, a TV show that's brought to you today by Citizens Against Family Violence. I'm Jessica Plasters, the Patrick County Victim Advocate.
And I'm Sandy Dawson, the Martinsville and Henry County sexual violence case manager and victim advocate. I always get torn up on trying to introduce
And with us today we have, no, me too. I just short mine up, victim advocate. With us today we have a special guest from the Department of Social Services, and if you would, we'll just get you to introduce yourself and tell us what your role is with DSS.
I'm Debbie Maxey. I'm senior worker in the Family Service Unit, and we deal with adult and family cases.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that
awesome.
Adult Protective Services?
Yes.
Okay.
We have many other programs as well. We do companion, community-based screenings for adults, adult services, emergency services, and daycare within one unit.
Oh, wow, so y'all have a busy job.
We sure do.
So when you say companion screenings, what is that?
Well, actually, companion services is like home-based care
okay.
to help people in the home. They can be screened for that to see if they meet the criteria. Also, community-based screenings is for like home health aides coming into the home, and people have to meet guidelines as far as being ready to go into a nursing home, the step before going into a nursing home.
Oh, okay.
So I bet it keeps you pretty busy. Right?
Oh yeah, it does. We have about, I believe it's 8 workers within our unit that share in those programs.
So y'all stay pretty busy. Never know what
All
your
the
day's gonna
time,
be
that's
like either.
right, yeah.
Well, I think today we were going to try to focus on the Adult Protective Services program that y'all do offer. Is that something that is a pretty busy program for y'all as well?
Oh yeah, on a daily basis we get calls. Anyone can call in and make a complaint if they're concerned about an elderly adult, which sometimes we get calls, you know, it may not be an elderly adult, and there's certain criteria that has to be met in order to meet an actual APS, whether we can investigate it or not.
Oh, okay.
So what is some of that criteria?
It has to be an adult 60 years or older, or 18 or older, that is incapacitated with a mental or physical impairment.
Okay.
So it can't be just incapacitated due to like substance abuse or anything like that?
No, it has to be an actual physical or mental impairment. And most of the time, those people are receiving disability through Social Security. And if it's like a mental impairment, a lot of times those people are receiving services through the local community services board. But not always,
Right.
but some of the time.
So when somebody calls in and you all do your initial evaluation, you're looking for the age to meet that category.
Right.
If someone calls in and they really don't fit in that category, then what do you do?
We usually try to get enough information to find out what is going on so we can maybe refer them to other places. Citizens Against Family Violence is if it's a domestic violence situation, sexual assault, if they do not meet the criteria for APS. You know, sometimes it may be someone that has not been diagnosed with a mental impairment, and maybe some of the information they're giving us is kind of pointing towards that. Then we might, you know, give them the information to contact Piedmont Community Services or other agencies within the community.
Okay. Yeah, I think that I've only worked with you all on, well, it's been a couple of cases of elderly abuse, but only one that was actual a sexual assault case. Do you all get many of those kind of calls?
They're few and far between. I mean, we do get them. And I think in just discussions with my supervisor, because she's been doing this the longest, mainly it's usually people with mental impairments that may be in group homes. We've ran into that more so than your typical elderly adult being sexually
so a lot
assaulted.
of those cases, they're not going to be able to report, you know, and we run into that a lot as well.
Right,
Probably.
right. But a lot of times it is, you know, our experience with our agency is, you know, the younger mentally challenged person that is in maybe a group home or something like that being taken advantage of in that way.
Okay, so then you get a report of a sexual assault. What steps do you all take at that point?
Well, first, by our APS guidelines that are mandated through the state, we have to report it to law enforcement. We make that report, and hopefully, they'll decide whether they're going to investigate or not. If they do investigate, then we try to work together and do a joint investigation and work with each other. But per our policy, if law enforcement, declines to take it as an investigation, we still proceed with our own investigation.
Okay, that's good. So when you're investigating, what does that entail? What are you all looking for, and then what are you all doing from that point?
Well, we, of course, try to, first of all, have contact with the victim and have that one-on-one talk about what has happened, get the information.
Process.
Yeah, get the information, find out the key information, who is the abuser, and just take it from there. If there was any eyewitnesses, what kind of evidence is there? A lot of times with an investigation, it's not so much or always the physical evidence. A lot of it is eyewitness accounts, that type of thing that we have to take into consideration.
So do you all at that point proceed to try to remove them or help them to find a different place to go?
Yes, we do. And in collaboration with other agencies, we try to work that out, to make sure the person is safe. If a protective order is needed, we'll assist them in, going to the courts and getting that in place to keep that person safe.
Yeah, and I know at least on one of the cases that I'd worked with, you all had contacted us because they had nowhere to go and needed to come into the shelter.
Yes.
And we began working with them as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
And sort of coordinated efforts between your agency and our agency, and then where we help them to get into a home to go to.
Exactly, and it's a lot of collaboration with other
Right.
agencies and working together to be able to,
Right.
Help
the work
help
of
the
everyone
vulnerable
together.
people, that are in these situations.
Right.
So,
So what do you look for when, what constitutes just adult abuse? What are some things that people could look for if they're afraid that something may have happened to their loved ones?
well, there's different types of abuse. Of course, there's physical abuse, which you're going to see marks, bruises, unexplained. And then there's the mental abuse, people call those in, well, I heard them cussing at my grandma, or just being really, mental abuse is a real big
Right.
thing with us. Also, you've got exploitation, people taking advantage of the elderly and their check. I mean, it could be somebody living in the home, it could be a family
I
member.
can see that being a big problem.
Yes.
around here.
There, of course, is the sexual abuse. So there's different types of abuse, things that you want to look for. If they're keeping someone locked in, kind of secluded from family members or friends, you want to, if you feel that that person might be at risk of being abused or, in one way or the other, even if you're not sure what kind of abuse, but okay.
Something's not right.
Exactly, call it in.
That's what I was going to ask. If someone does suspect something but doesn't really know for sure what's going on and they call in, would they screen that, or would they go out and check on that person? Do they do well check-ups? or
Well,
anything
one
like
of the
that?
things with calling it in is we need to have pertinent information to be able to, if there is, enough there to be able to go out on it. I mean, we need identifying information, the person's name, their age, if you can guess it, around what age, so we can see if they meet that address. We definitely have to have an address to be able to go out. If they have the name of who they think is living in the home that may be the abuser, or That's the type of information we're really going to need. I mean, we do get calls that, you know, it'll be something like, well, my neighbor down the street, I feel like, you know, nobody's taking care of her. Well, then when we start asking the questions, they don't have the information to give us. Well,
Well, that
we
makes
have
it
to screen
impossible
it.
to be able to go
Yeah, we
to,
have to
but-
screen it out because there's nothing else we can do because we don't have the information to be able to follow through with it.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, we try to, you know, be cautious and go with, even if it's not a lot there, we at least go out on it a lot of times and just check and see if the person's okay and see what the situation is. And then, you know, kind of like a well check. You know, a lot goes into, you know, it sometimes is a judgment call as far as, I mean, they do have to meet those certain guidelines. Also jurisdiction. I mean, if they don't live in Martinsville and Henry County, say it was a resident that did live in Martinsville and Henry County and they were placed in a nursing home in Stewart. Well, that would, and the abuse is happening in the nursing home in Stewart, just say, then it's out of our jurisdiction.
Right.
So they would have to investigate. So there's a lot of different things we have to look at. And
So you all also investigate cases that are reported from nursing homes as well?
yes, that's facility, yeah, facilities we do. You know,
that's
we
really
get
good.
some complaints where we have to actually go into the facilities and investigate complaints as well.
You know, you see on TV all the time about different situations happening where, and it varies from whether or not it's a family member abusing another family member or whether it's a caregiver.
Right.
Do you all distinguish between that in what you all do?
I'm not
Like,
exactly following.
Does it matter if it's a family member abuser or if it's a caregiver kind of
Like in
abuser?
Child
it
Protective
do-
Services,
no,
how
it
it has
doesn't.
to be a
Right,
caregiver.
no. And, you know, some people think CPS, Child Protective Services, and APS go hand in hand, but actually there is some differences. There's some similarities, but there's a lot
Right,
of
I was
differences.
thinking that a lot of the stuff that you were saying, I was like, it does sound a lot like the CPS
does.
procedure, Child Protective Services procedure, but that was one question I had too. Does it?
We
doesn't
don't.
matter?
It doesn't matter. For APS, I mean, the abuser, whether it be a family member or it's a caretaker, non-family member, you know, it could be aide, a nurse, and a nursing, I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, we still look at it the same.
Because you see those Dateline reports where they have the camera in the room
Right.
and have pictures of nurses hitting on old people in the homes and
Right.
stuff. You know, it's scary and it's frightful.
Well, and unfortunately, with I mean, honestly, with some of their mental and physical disabilities, they might not even be aware that they are being abused. I mean, of course, maybe
Exactly.
physical abuse they might be aware of,
Right.
but some of the other stuff they might not even be aware that they are a victim of it.
Exactly.
or even
So-
be able to tell somebody that something's happening.
Right.
Because that might be the only person that lives in the home with them, or the only person that they can depend on whether or not they're not treating them right or
Exactly,
not. And I
yeah.
know
So it does take, you know, people in the community that know these people or other family members that, you know, see something, they feel, you know, that this person's being abused in some way. You know, call it in. Let us decide, you know, whether it's valid or not. You can remain anonymous. Now, there are mandated reporters, of course, with the health profession and mental health agencies.
So like doctors may call in
Doctors.
reports.
Yes, yes.
Doctors,
Because they're mandated
nurses.
to report, yeah.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, because a lot of times if maybe these elderly people are going to the doctors and the doctor notices something and he doesn't really know if it's,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah, exactly.
they might say they
And
fail or they were.
we get a lot, well, I'm not gonna, well, I mean, a lot of our calls do come from hospitals or doctor's offices, and it's, you know, valid concerns. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they just, you know, want to check up on their patient because they feel there's
So
concerns
it's good
there.
if you have any concerns to go ahead and call, but have enough appropriate information that you know who, what, when, where to investigate. right?
Exactly, to be able to, you know, if we need to validate it, be able to validate it and check on that person. Another big one that I didn't just thought of is self-neglect.
Okay.
You know,
I
yeah.
didn't think about that.
There's, you know,
Actually,
with the
the
elderly.
case that I worked with you all on before was sort of that situation.
Right, and you know,
She was
with the
developing
elderly.
dementia.
Exactly.
So what,
with-
like not feeding themselves or not bathing
Right,
themselves?
and if they have dementia, Alzheimer's, you know, their thinking is deteriorating, and they may forget to eat or take a bath, or, you know, and so there might be a concerned neighbor that says, you know, I don't think they're eating, or something like that, and maybe they don't have any family or a caretaker that lives in the home.
Right.
So, you know, there are situations, we get a lot of calls on those too.
So would
Or
y'all
not
step in
taking-
at that point and maybe try to place them in a nursing home?
Well,
or?
really, we'll see, you know, try to get as much information as we can. Check our systems within social services, see what kind of services they're already getting. And one big thing, which we do in our unit, is, okay, if there's not a caretaker in the home or a family member helping them, we'll check, have they ever been screened for community-based care? Where Medicaid, see if they've got Medicaid. If they have Medicaid, they can, because that is a Medicaid program that pays for the community-based care. If they have the Medicaid, all right, maybe they just need a screening for community-based care. We can set them up with that. One of our workers within our unit goes out with the health department nurse, interviews the person. They do UAI assessment is the form they use, and decide whether this person meets the criteria for the community-based care, and get it approved through Medicaid for aid to come into the home.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so,
So
you
that's
know, a
when
lot
they
of
can
times,
continue to live in their home, but they just need some assistance with things.
exactly. They're not exactly ready to go in, you know, to the point of nursing home. It's close, but with assistance, they're able to stay in their homes. Now, a lot of times, a lot of our calls, you know, it's information and referral, you know, and then sometimes it's just getting them hooked up with services, you know, getting the screenings done, or send them a Medicaid application, something like that.
So even if it's not a case where someone's calling in and saying someone's being neglected or may not be caring for themselves, if someone, let's just say, has a family member that is in early dementia, but meets adult care services, do you all coordinate them with all the care agencies, or where would they start? Who would they call? Or would you all be a possible source to call and just say who do I need to talk to?
Well, they can always call us, and we get, within our unit, not only do we get the APS calls, Adult Protective Service calls, but we also have people that call in, and they probably start with the health department, and the health department gives them our number, or other agencies, and our worker that actually does the screenings for the community-based care. You know, you can call up and they'll say, I know someone that needs to be screened for the community-based care.
Okay.
And we have a form we fill out, and, you know, we
Get them
get it.
connected? Awesome.
Right, and they do it in the order they, you know, get the referrals. It usually, we say anywhere, I think, between 3 and 6 weeks from the time the information, you know, the referral is made to get the actual screening done.
Okay. So you all stay pretty busy.
So we do.
I bet every time that phone rings, you're like, I have no idea what this is going to be now.
That's pretty
true.
much the way we work
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Every phone
You
call,
don't know
we're
whether to
just,
answer. I mean, you got to answer it, but you don't know what to expect when
What
you
to
answer
expect,
it. So.
that's right, yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing this information. I mean, it's great to have these resources in the community, especially, you know, for our elderly people or people that have
absolutely.
disabilities. It's great. The social services has all these agencies that are helping families, and I think it's great. And we
Thank you
appreciate
very
coming on
much.
the
Well,
show.
thank
coming
you,
today.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank
well,
you.
we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Now we're going to explain to you our newest benefit here at Nelson Toyota Scion, our lifetime protection plan on all our new vehicles.
Only at Nelson Toyota Scion, we've got your engine and transmission covered for life.
When you have an accident with your car from Nelson Toyota Scion, you don't have to worry about your deductible.
Rental cars towing you don't have to worry about. We even change your tire on the side of the road, only with the Nelson Lifetime Protection Plan here at Nelson Toyota, where everybody knows cars cost less.
At Memorial Hospital of Martinsville in Henry County, we understand the power of home, knowing that Memorial Hospital brings the latest technology and the best medical professionals together for you, our families, friends, and neighbors. Right here in Martinsville, it's sometimes the best medicine. When you need cardiac care, time is critical. Our expert cardiologists are just moments away, meaning better outcomes for you and your heart. The best in care, the closeness of family and friends. That's the power of home.
Unexpected financial problems have happened to all of us. Reestablish your credit today. Bring in your tax refund check, and Nick Bello, the credit master at Danville Toyota, will get you on the right track. He has helped thousands of people just like you to reestablish their credit, from slow pay, layoff, divorce, bankruptcy, and even repossession. Use your tax refund, and Nick Bello will help you drive home a new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV of your choice. Call this number or go to DanvilleToyota.com and click Second Chance Credit for a clean start.
Hi, I'm Emily Aaron, the new face on BTW 21. Join me for the weekend review on Your Neighborhood Network.
My staff and I and Freddie would like to invite you into our office. We realize that most people that come into our office take a bunch of pills for their pain. At our office, we get to the cause of your problem. If you're having back pain, neck pain, arm or leg pain, headaches, or been involved in a car accident, we can help. We don't want you to suffer. We want you to get relief.
Need a standing seam or 3-foot wide metal roof for your home, farm, or business? Max Kendall Lumber and Tin makes 20 colors of 45-year American-made metal roofing for all your needs. Max Kendall Lumber and Tin meets or beats anybody's prices on tin. They also have a full line of package buildings and storage buildings. Max also carries rough, dressed, and treated lumber that you can't find anywhere else. And also, he has a drive-through lumber yard. Stop by one of Max Kendall's locations in Axton, Danville, Stokesdale, Lynchburg, or Roanoke. Or call them toll-free at 888-434-2825 or check them on the web at maxkendalllumber.com.
When you have an accident with your car from Nelson Toyota Scion, you don't have to worry about your deductible.
Rental cars towing you don't have to worry about. We even change your tire on the side of the road, only with the Nelson Lifetime Protection Plan here at Nelson Toyota, where everybody knows cars cost less.
Hello and welcome back to SAVE. We've been going through the healing journey steps, and part of what we're going to talk about today is the next phase that you're going to go through. All of those steps kind of blend together, and they don't necessarily always follow one right after the other. You may actually start into it and get somewhere and need to start over and go through those steps again. But also through that process, you're going to come to a point where you're going to start feeling all the emotions. And actually, it may be from the very beginning all the way through. You're going to deal with all of those emotions and how it's making you feel. You're going to be angry at times. You're going to be sad at times, hurt, frustrated. You're definitely going to be grieving. A lot of people wonder why we say grief, that you're going through grief, and that's because there's a loss of your innocence that was stolen. If this was a childhood sexual assault, your innocence was taken from you, and so you're grieving that loss. It's an essential part of your journey, and you have to give yourself permission to grieve that loss. But it's also going to take a different amount of time for everybody that experiences it. It's not something to rush. You need to just allow it to happen. Always remember that no matter what you're feeling, whatever the emotions, be sure to write it in your journal. Write about how you're feeling, how it's making you feel, how thinking about all these things continue to make you feel, and how they made you feel back then. That is all part of your healing journey, helping you to deal with those emotions. As you go through that, you also determine whether or not spirituality is a part of your process. Spirituality is unique and personal for every single person. So whether you're a member of a traditional religion or belong to a church or have any kind of whatever your own personal beliefs are, then that's for you to decide and to decide how it's going to help you through the process. But you know, you also come to a place where you need to work through forgiveness. Forgiveness is not something that you do for somebody else. Forgiveness is not releasing them of what they did to you. It's simply what you do for yourself. It's accepting and making peace with the fact that you cannot change what happened, and that no longer, though, are you going to allow yourself to feed off of that hatred that you've been harboring for what happened, or for that other person and what they did. You're going to learn to let it go, and that's part of that forgiveness process. You turn those negative feelings off, just like you turn off a water faucet, and remove yourself from that situation. Find a way to put it in the past. You know, as you make resolution and you're moving forward, there's going to be times where you're going to go back. It'll feel like you're relapsing and going through it all again. That's very normal, and that's part of the process. But each time you do that, it's going to take shorter time to recover and to come back into the happier times where you're not feeling upset over everything that happened. Please know that going through the healing journey is a long process, and it can be a difficult process, but it is so worth it going through it. And if you need help or want someone to talk to, please call us at Citizens Against Family Violence at 632-8701. My name is Sandy Dawson, and I'm the Sexual Violence Case Manager, and I would be more than happy to help you with that process. So thank you for tuning in to SAVE, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.